Hello everyone, I'm Ipek Melisturk and I will be presenting DreamBooth, fine-tuning text-to-image diffusion models for subject-driven generation, a paper by Google Research AI team. So, today I will talk about what this paper is about, some of the related works done, how the model works, and the results of the model. I would like to start talking about what are the diffusion models. Diffusion models are probabilistic generative models that are trained to learn a data distribution by the gradual denoising of a variable sampled from a Gaussian distribution. They take the input image and gradually add Gaussian noise to it through a series of t-steps. They will call this the forward process. So this is a fixed process. And then a neural network is trained to recover the original data by reversing the noising process. By being able to model the reverse process, they can generate new data like shown in the figure below. So, in general, text-to-image models achieve high quality and diverse synthesis of images from a given text prompt, while profiting from strong semantic prior learned from a large collection of image caption pairs, such as binding the word dog with different instances of dog, which can be in various poses and contexts. However, these models lack the ability to mimic the appearances of subject in a given reference set and synthesize novel renditions of them in different contexts. In this paper, they present a new approach for personalization of text-to-image diffusion models. Also, one of the objectives is to expand the language vision dictionary of the model to create more specific options to the user. With the input images, they fine-tune a pre-trained text-to-image model such that it learns to bind a unique identifier with that specific subject. To give more information about the implementation with given as inputs, just a few images of subject, a unique identifier is synthesized with implementing the subject to the output model. To that end, techniques they propose are to present a given subject with a rare token identifier and fine-tune a pre-trained diffusion-based text-to-image framework that operates in two steps, generating a low-resolution image from text and then subsequently applying super-resolution diffusion models. They first fine-tune the low-resolution text-to-image model with the input images and text prompts containing a unique identifier, followed by the class name of the subject. Example, a unique identified dog. In order to prevent overfitting and language drift that cause the model to associate the class name, such as dog, with the specific instance, class-specific prior preservation loss, which leverages the semantic prior on the class that is embedded in the model, and encourages it to generate diverse instances of the same class as their subject, like in different scenes, while keeping their key identifying features such as the dog nose. Secondly, they fine-tune the super resolution component with pairs of low resolution and high resolution versions of the input image. This allows the model to maintain high fidelity to small details of the subject. They use the pre-trained imaging model as a base model in their experiment, although it is not constrained to any model. They suggest that this model is the first technique that tackles this challenging problem setting that enables users to take a few casually captured images of the subject and generate novel renditions of them in different contexts while maintaining their key features. By leveraging the semantic prior embedded in the model with a new autogenous class-specific prior prevention loss. Their technique enables synthesizing the subject in diverse scenes, poses, views, and lighting conditions that do not appear in the reference images. Here are the suggested differences of this implementation. They propose two key points, a new problem and a new technique. The problem is that subject-driven generation. Given a few casually captured images of a subject, the goal is to synthesize novel renditions of the subject in different contexts, while maintaining high fidelity to its key visual features. The new technique for the fine-tuning text-to-image diffusion models in a few-shot setting, while preserving the model's semantic knowledge on the class of the subject. Let's talk about the related work. Firstly, compositing objects into scenes. Synthesizing a given subject in different contexts is a challenging task, previously tackled in various forms and under different assumptions. Image composition techniques aim to clone a given subject into a new background such that the subject melts seamlessly into the scene. However, these techniques are quite limited in their ability to adapt the correct lighting from the background, cast proper shadows, or fit the background content in a semantically aware manner. Secondly, text-driven editing. One way of preserving object appearance while changing context is image editing. An intuitive approach is through user-provided text prompts. Text-driven image manipulation has recently achieved significant progress using GANs. Bao et al. Further demonstrated how to use masks provided by the user to localize the text space editing and restrict the change to a specific spatial region. However, while GAN-based image editing approaches succeed on highly curated datasets, they struggle over diverse datasets with many subject types. Also, recent other works exploit diffusion models which achieve state-of-the-art generation quality over highly diverse datasets, often surpassing GANs. Bartal et al. Proposed a text-based localized editing technique without using masks, showing impressive results. Thirdly, text-to-image synthesis. There also exists work on generation of images conditioned on text, also known as text-to-image synthesis. Recent large text-to-image models such as Imagen, DALL-E 2, Party and Cogview2 demonstrated extraordinary semantic generation. These models do not provide fine-grained control over a generated image and use text guidance only. Specifically, given text descriptions, it is hard to preserve the identity of a subject constantly across different images, since modifying the context in the prompt also modifies the appearance of the subject. For example, sentences such as "a shoe next to a river" and "a shoe on a desk" will display different kinds of shoes. The images shown here are for the Imagen and DALL-E 2. And lastly, inversion of diffusion models. The problem with the inversion of diffusion models of finding a noise map and conditioning vector that corresponds to a generated image. Due to asymmetry between the backward and forward decision steps, a naive addition of noise to an image followed by denoising may yield a completely different image. Deterministic DDIM sampling, clip latent vectors are used, but these methods fall short of generating novel samples of a subject while preserving fidelity. What we need to know for cascaded text-to-image diffusion models. So we know that diffusion models train to learn a data distribution by the gradual denoising of a variable sampled from a Gaussian distribution. This corresponds to learning the reverse process of a fixed-length Markovian forward process. In simple terms, a conditional diffusion model. At inference time, the diffusion model is sampled by iteratively denoising, as can be seen from the equation given. X hat theta corresponds to a conditional diffusion model, zt is the noised image, and the equation gives the reverse process. This is done to create better results for the super resolution. The details of text conditioning in text-to-image diffusion models are of high importance for visual quality and semantic fidelity, so they try to enlarge the dictionary. DreamBooth uses the latter model. They take text prompt P conditioning embedding C, tokenizer F, and language model gamma. The language model gamma is conditioned on this token identifier vector to produce an embedding C. The text-to-image diffusion model is directly conditioned on C. In short details, how is this model implemented? Given images of subject, they fine-tune a text-to-image diffusion in two steps. Firstly, fine-tuning the low-resolution text-to-image model with the input images paired with the text prompt containing a unique identifier and the name of the class of the subject, such as a unique identifier dog. In parallel, they also apply a class-specific prior preservation loss, which leverages the semantic prior that the model has on the class and encourages it to generate diverse instances belong to the subject's class using the class name in the text prompt, such as a dog. Secondly, they fine-tune the super resolution components with pairs of low resolution and high resolution image taken from their input image set, which enables them to maintain high fidelity to small details of the subject. In this work, they use pre-trained imaging model as the base model. Let's look at more details of the implementation. Their goal is to implement a new key-value pair into the diffusion model's dictionary. Label all input images of the subject an identifier class noun, where identifier is a unique identifier linked to the subject, and class noun is a coarse class descriptor of the subject, such as cat, dog, watch. The class descriptor can be obtained using a classifier. They use a class descriptor in the sentence in order to tether the prior of the class to their unique subject. Also, they found out that a unique identifier without a class noun as a key for the subject increased training time and decreased performance. So they use rare token identifiers. The model first performs a rare token lookup in the vocabulary and obtain a sequence of rare token identifiers by inverting the vocabulary sequence of characters that define their unique identifier. So every rare token identifier binds to a unique identifier. Lastly, they fine-tune the text-to-image model using the classic denoising laws. Two key issues arise: overfitting and language drift. That's why autogenous classic-specific prior preserving loss is used to prevent overfitting and language drift. Their method is to supervise the model with its own generated samples in order for it to retain the prior once the few shots fine-tuning begins. Finally, they implement super resolution and fine-tuning they done with the model that helps with the artifacts. The results show prominent change. They generate the subject in new poses and articulations and with new previously unseen scene structure. Also, they note the detail in the integration of the subject in the scene, including realistic contact with other objects. For example, partially planted in the snow, manipulated by human hands and such, and realistic shadows and reflections. As you can see, they use a unique identifier class noun for the context description. For example, a unique identifier clock with the Eiffel Tower in the background, or a unique identifier base buried in the sands, which has the shadows and it's really buried in the sand. They are able to get meaningful changes in the scene, with subject, instance, details, and identity preservation depending on the artistic style. You can see for the art rendition, that with the Michelangelo statue as a dog. As you can see, they're using a painting of a unique identifier for a class noun such as dog, or cat in the style of famous painter, or a statue of a unique identifier, that class noun in the style of famous sculptor. as you can see, the Vincent van Gogh style or Michelangelo style. Their method also allows for new image generation of the subject with modified expression that are not seen in the original set of subject images. Like there is no sleeping for the input images, but they are able to do that, or like for the crying or barking. They are also able to generate new images of the same cat with consistent complex fur patterns under new camera viewpoints. This is called text-guided view synthesis. The highlight is that the model has not seen this specific cat from behind, from below, or from above. This images from above or top view is not apparent in the dataset. Yet, it is able to extrapolate knowledge from the class prior to generating these novel views, given only four frontal images of the subject. They can make color adjective in the prompt sentence, a color adjective, unique identifier, class noun, also can make crosses between a specific chow-chow dog and different animal species. We can see that the identity of the dog is well preserved even when the species changes. As you can see from the face of the panda is the chow-chow dog. Also, they can make a dog wear outfits. As you can see, a unique identifier, class noun, wearing accessory. Let's look at the comparisons. With the prior preservation laws, their results exhibit variation in the poses of the subject within non-entangled context. As you can see for their model, the dog has different poses for different places. Whereas, without the prior preservation laws, the dog only sits. If we look at the top image, fine-tuning using images of their subject without prior preservation laws results in language drift, and the model loses the capability of generating other members of their subject's class. When we look at the vanilla model, it has different kinds of class dog. For the prior preservation laws, the poses stays the same and the dog is the same. And for the full model, it has diversity in both. And finally, no fine-tuning results in hallucinated high-frequency patterns for super-resolution implementation. As you can see from the generated images, the normal noise creates blurriness and no fine-tuning results in artifacts. Here is the comparisons of recontextualization of a subject clock with distinctive features using R method and prompt engineering using vanilla Imagen and the public API of DALL-E2. After several trial and error iterations, the base prompt used to generate DALL-E2 and Imagen results was retro-style yellow alarm clock with a white clock face and a yellow number 3 on the right part of the clock face, which is highly descriptive of the subject clocked. We can see that while DALL-E2 and vanilla Imagen are able to generate retro-style yellow alarm clocks, they struggle to represent a number 3 on the clock face, distinct from the clock face numbers. In general, it is hard to control fine-grained details of subject appearance using prompts, even with large amounts of prompt engineering. Also, we can observe how context cues in the prompt can bleed into subject appearances. For example, with a blue number 3 on the clock face when the context is on top of the blue fabric. To conclude, their key idea is to embed a given subject instant in the output domain of a text-to-image diffusion model by binding the subject to a unique identifier. They achieve this by carefully fine-tuning a pre-trained text-to-image model without forgetting other visual concepts it had learned during training, especially considering the typical size of text-to-image models. which is very big. This fine-tuning process can work given only 3 to 5 casually captured images of the subject. Also makes the technique particularly accessible and easy to use from a user's perspective. The resulting fine-tuned model is then able to reuse its learned knowledge of the visual world, how the subject typically looks like from different viewpoints in different poses, how it interacts with the surroundings, while maintaining the subject's distinctive features. We, they demonstrated a variety of applications with animals and objects embedded within generated photorealistic scenes, in most cases indistinguishable from real images. This is all. Thank you for listening.